Dialicus, and welcome to Movie 101 Review. Movie 101 Review is created and empowered. Of course, empower movies itself. And today I have my special guest. He's a writing coach, no other than Mr. Mark Hernandez. Welcome, Mr. Mark on Movie 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Sure. Well, Daniel, thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to talk about movies. I am a writing coach. I spent 25 years as a high school English teacher. I taught film for 20 years, and I'm excited to talk about movies today.
Yes, movies. So, Mr. Mark, what is your favorite movie that you want to talk about today?
So, yeah, I mean, I have a ton of favorite movies, but I sure would love to talk about The Shawshank Redemption. I could talk about that one for days.
Why Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, it is a beautiful, epic film that has got some of everything. It is just one of the more rewarding films. It is certainly one that, I mean, I'll tell you, when I taught film lit, it was the cornerstone of the class. It was without question the most popular in the class. And I really focused on visual storytelling, the way that the director, Frank Darabont, used shots and angles and lighting to convey a message. So it's a really good film for film lit. It's accessible and also educational.
Educational indeed. So, if you were Frank Darabont, which part of the movie you want to delete or remove, or which part of the movie you want to add something?
So it's funny you asked that because the legend has it, the backstory behind the scenes has it, and listeners and viewers don't get mad at me for saying this. The legend has it that Frank Darabont did not want to film the ending scene on the beach. That was not part of the plan. Uh, and the studio essentially the legend goes, the studio forced him to film that last sequence on the beach. So if I'm Frank Darabont and I want to give it one thing, I think if Frank Darabont is speaking honestly, he probably says the last sequence.
Yes. So, Mr. Mark, if you were Frank Darabont, which part of the movie you want to, let's say, add something?
Yeah. Yeah. I think probably if I were to add something, and again, it's wonderful, it's perfect, it's wonderful. So I'm not here to criticize, but I think if you're Frank Darabont, one thing you might want to add a bit to is the parole rejection present when Andy, after Red's second parole hearing, Andy gives him a harmonica, and the intent is to remind him that music can lead to hope, and that's good for the soul. And Red rejects that present, or at least he takes it out, but does not play it. And there's some slight camera movement that I think most people miss, and I think maybe if you're Frank Darabont, you want to make it a little less subtle so the more people catch it.
Let's settle for sure, and we love it, Mr. Frank. The film central mantra is get busy living or
Yeah,
get busy dying.
yeah, yeah,
How do Andy and Brad each embody these choices throughout the story?
yeah. So Andy says that line to Red initially, and when he says it, it causes Red genuine concern, because Red is really worried about Andy at that point. As far as he knows, Andy is distraught because he spent 2 months in the hole, and Tommy has been, you know, eliminated, and there appears to be no way out for Andy. And so, Red takes it as more emphasis on the get busy dying part of it, and of course, what Andy means actually is no, I'm gonna figure something out and get to it. And that's what the message really is that you just gotta hang in there and you have to keep working and you have to get busy doing stuff that will eventually make your life better.
Yes, get busy, busy, busy. And Shawshank is often described as a film about hope. How
Yeah.
does it define hope? Is it quiet resilience, a dangerous delusion, or an act of rebellion?
This is the great question. This is the central issue of the film, is that there's a scene again right before Red's second parole hearing. Andy's come out of the hole for the opera scene, the opera stunt that he pulls, and he says, "Listen, Aunt Red says, sorry, Andy says, you know, hope is what kept me going in the hole."
Yes, I
And
like
Red
that.
says, "No, wait a second. No, stop that. Because hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane. And it's got no business in the inside. Better start getting used to that." And then, of course, Andy says, "Oh, yeah? Like Brooks did?" Which very much upsets Red because what Andy is telling him is you cannot ever give up hope no matter what. And as you say, Daniel, like it is an act of rebellion. It is in persevering through forces that are going to make you think that nothing better is possible. And so, you mean you said it perfectly. It is an act of rebellion in believing that if you work at it, things can get better.
Yes, people don't lose hope because hope is always in the corner. Just grab it. Beyond the physical prison, what are the various institutions or mental prisons that the characters must escape?
Yeah. So both Brooks and Red, to some extent, feel institutionalized. About right after the incident with Brooks and Haywood, there is Red, and he says, "Look, just so you know, they send you here for life, and that's just what they take from you. So these walls are funny because first you hate them, and eventually depend on them. And certainly Brooks, and then eventually Red, like they do get the point where they look, I'm institutionalized. Okay, this place has taken away, as you say, it's taken away my optimism and has put me in this prison of my own mind because I think I can't make it on the outside."
Hmm. Yes. Yes, indeed. The film presents as a profound friendship between two very different men. What does Andy and Red's relationship teach us about how men express vulnerability and find salvation in each other?
It's a wonderful question, and I think it's a totally underrated aspect of it. That my favorite dialogue in the film, and maybe ever, is when they're sitting there and when Andy first mentions Zawataneo, because as you say, that is one of the first times that Andy's actually expressed regret and some sort of remorse for what he did. And he's super vulnerable at that point to Red. And then Red, as you mentioned, is also vulnerable to Andy. He says, "Look, like I can't make it, and I'm important here, but I'm not important there." And so you're totally right that like what is what drives and keeps their relationship so powerful is the willingness to open up and the willingness to be vulnerable to other people.
Yes. To be vulnerable for other people. For sure. So let's talk about the character motivation now, Mr. Mark.
Yeah.
Andy maintains an almost, well, prefer natural calm and
Yeah.
dignity. What is the source of his inner strength? Is it innocence, intelligence, or something else?
So it's a good question. And the way I've always presented it is he's intelligent, that
Hmm.
he's rational, and he believes that and he also, his intelligence, it's intelligence and patience, because he
Patience,
believes
yes.
that if I stick at this enough, I will eventually it will work out, right? Because he's definitely the king of delayed gratification. Because honestly, like he waits
Yes,
until the exact right moment, and he's
true.
willing to work slowly. He's willing to day by day take handfuls of his wall into the yard, and yeah, he's a smart guy and knows that eventually the smart guy is going to win.
Yes, I like his smartness. My goodness, I want that smart.
Yeah, no kidding,
Cle-
right? Yeah,
Cleverness, patience, timings.
yeah,
Timing is so good.
yeah.
And Red is our narrator and moral compass. How does his perspective that a long term convict whose institutionalized shape how we view Andy and the world of Shawshank.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I also teach my students about in the film is that yes, Andy's important and Andy is a hero. And it's also the case that Red is the protagonist, that this is his story and it is a story of his growth. Because if we believe that the movie's main theme is that hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies, then the one who best demonstrates that point is Red. Because Andy, as we pointed out earlier, it takes a heck of a lot of hope and persistence to keep going for 19 years and to still believe every day that you're going to get out. And Andy keeps that up. What matters for Red is that he doesn't. Right? He gives up, and he's loses hope for a second. And so his journey is one of learning from Andy. Like Andy is an inspiration, he is a touchstone, and he is a vehicle for Red's growth.
Yes. And Mr. Mark, Warden Norton quotes the Bible while running a corrupt and brutal regime. What does the hypocrisy say about abuse of power and or perversion of faith?
I love this question, and I love it a lot because Norton is one of my favorite film villains ever. Precisely because, seriously,
Yes,
because
yes.
precisely because he's sort of like got a Nurse Ratchet from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest type deal, where he
Mm.
believes sincerely he's doing the right thing. Like he's so self righteous, and he's so hypocritical, and that he's just he's so easy to root against and to hate because okay. The other thing I was going to say is that one of the things I talk about my students is that Shawshank gets to everybody. Shawshank
Yes.
will taint and corrupt everyone. Like for
Hmm.
some people, it robs them of their hope. That happens with Red and the prisoners, and some people it robs them of the morality. And I think Norton. I'm willing to believe that Norton was not corrupt until he became a warden, and I'm willing to believe that he is influenced by the place. And I think that's it's sort of like I think that's one of the main themes is the place will get you one way or the other, except Andy.
Yes, definitely. And Mr. Mark, Brooks' Hateland story is a heartbreaking subplot. How does his fate serve as a crucial contrast to Red's, and why is it essential the film's message about institutionalization?
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing is that's why, and Darabont takes great efforts to make sure that he paints Red as a foil to Brooks. I mean, they have the same hotel room, the same halfway house room, they have the same job. And then even it goes, if you watch it again, both Brooks and Red have the same posture on the bus. They have, hands
Mm-hmm.
together and forward, holding on to something. In Brooks's case, it's the bar. And in Red's case, it's a suitcase, but it's the same posture. And the whole point is that we are led to fear for Red's well being because he's been in prison a long time and he experiences the same sort of institutionalization as Brooks does. So absolutely, it's a big deal. Like the point of the Brooks subplot is to get us to feel afraid for Red later on.
Let's talk about the symbolism and key moments, Mr. Mark. Music is a pivotal force in the film, from Mozart aria to Hank Williams. How does the
Yeah,
act of playing music over the speaker represent both for Andy and for the other inmates?
I love this question, Daniel. I love it. Yeah, it definitely is one where the music allows people to think of something else.
Yes.
Distracts them because certainly Haywood in the library, like he is just like in his own little world over there. And then in the opera scene, what I love about the opera scene is everyone stops, right? No one is
Hmm.
moving, and everyone stops, and everyone is hypnotized, mesmerized by this music. They're looking up, and they don't even understand it, but it allows them to think of something else. I mean, Red's line there is so wonderful. He says, it was as if some little bird flapped into our drab little cage and made those walls dissolve away. And for the briefest of moments, every last man in Shawshank felt free.
Yes, definitely. Truly, truly empowering movie. People, the library is Andy's field of dreams.
Yeah, I like that.
What does the process of building and expanding it symbolize in the context of creating meaning within confinement?
That's great. And Andy talks about this later, and certainly is relevant with Tommy, is that the library allows Andy to improve lives because he gets people diplomas, like he educates people, and he allows them to think of something that will prepare them, right, for life outside. And
Yes.
when earlier on, when he first proposes a library, his friends are like, yo, we don't want a library, we want a pool table to make life in here better. And Andy says, no, 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 no. We prepare for life after this. And so to get people to improve their lives so that when they get out, they're going to be better to succeed, better able to succeed later on.
Indeed, Mr. Mark, a rock hammer and Rita Hayward poster. The Bible are the key physical or the
Yeah.
physical objects. What are does each represent, and how do they masterly or masterfully tie the plot together?
Yeah. So the thing about the rock hammer, and it was one of Red's wonderful lines beginning, he says, I was worried about getting him a rock hammer at first, but then I finally got the joke
Mm,
because it would take a man about 600 years to tunnel out the walls with this one thing. So I didn't worry about it. And so in a lot of ways, the rock hammer represents Andy's persistence and represents how he's able to overcome expectations. Because even Red is like, oh, okay. I mean, there's no way he could dig out with this, right?
yes.
And then the
Mm-hmm.
Bible is interesting about the Bible is, it's cut out. And so there's something interesting where, Andy, as he says, salvation lay within, but it wasn't in the verses, it was in the actual rock hammer. And I think there's something interesting too there because, as we mentioned earlier, the warden is a religious hypocrite. And there's something I think important symbolically that the Bible is at least partially hollowed out. And of course, the
Mm-hmm.
poster is, Reddit eventually says, the poster, was distracting, was occupying Andy's mind. And of course, technically it was, but it's not in the way that everyone else thought.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Definitely. So Tommy's stories introduces a brutal twist on justice. How does this fate solidify the film's critique of a system more invested in self-preservation than truth?
This is when I taught the film to students in my high school classes, this was one of the biggest gut punch moments in the entire semester because
Mm.
you can see them when I watch them the first time, they're so excited because finally something's going to go right, and the warden is even on board, and then Tommy gets shot, and there are just people just distraught in the audience, and so yeah, it definitely is a moment that is as effective a storytelling reversal as you'll see because we think these are going great and all of a sudden they're very much not. And then also, as you say, it is just one of the more despicable acts because, okay, spoiler here, in the short novel, Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption, the novella that the film is based on, when the warden finds out that Tommy has this information, he silences him, but he silences him by transferring him to a minimum security prison. So, uh, it just speaks to there are any number of options on the table for you, Warden. You could have done any number of things to silence him, but you did the most despicable thing possible. Not only murder him, but also like lead him to believe in his final moments that he was going to actually do something wonderful and good for a good friend of his.
Something wonderfully so people watch it. It's something that you will watch it again and again and again.
Yeah.
Despite being box office disappointment initially, Shawshank became a phenomenon on cable and home video. Why do you think its popularity grew over time instead of fading?
I think part of it was, I mean, TNT was so insistent on showing it all the time.
Yes.
They just kept on
Hmm.
putting it, and then they kept on showing it, and more and more people, and once you actually see it, you realize instantly there's so many different scenes to fall in love with, and it's so hard to turn off. Like once you start
Yes,
watching it,
true.
you just keep watching.
I told you people, once you watch it, you will watch it again and again and again.
Yeah.
It consistently tops greatest film list, yet it's not flashy or action packed. What is about this story that resonates so universally and deeply across cultures?
Yep. Yep.
Why,
That's what. Yeah.
Mr.
So
Mark?
that's wonderful. Yeah. It is timeless, and it appeals to everybody for sure.
Yes, timeless, timeless people. I like the movie portrayed how cleverness, smartness, patience is virtue, as they said. The ending of the beach in the beach is one of the cinema's most satisfying conclusion. Why does it work so emotionally? Is it a fantasy or earn reward?
That's well said. Um, and I think, yeah, the people who love it the most, or people who love that scene, they love it because, um, it's just two guys who fought different battles for 19 years in different ways, and they find it's just yeah, it's so light and bright and as you say, this idyllic fantasy island type setting of beautiful blue water and white sand beaches and incredibly blue sky and no one else around. It's a paradise, as you say. It's a paradise, and that
Mhm.
develops the feeling of triumph at the end.
Priceless. Frank Darabont's adaptation makes significant changes from Stephen King's novella. What do these choices, like expanding Red's role and the friendship, achieve for the film?
It makes it better. The film, and in most cases, I will defend the book version. In this case, the film is better. It make a lot of smart storytelling choices that help really make it work structurally and thematically.
Yes. Shawshank Redemption for me, just like the Count of Monte Cristo. The
Yeah,
cleverness, the patience, the hardship, it's the same thing.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, Mr. Mark, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and mock book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in third season, and mock food 101 is sixth season. These December, geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, music 101, uh in third season, fourth season, sorry, science 101, sex 101, and it's second season, mental health 101, law 101, bible verses 101, entrepreneurship 101 are my baby podcast, so please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Mark, if you had to pinpoint one single scene that perfectly encapsulate the entire spirit of message of the Shawshank Redemption, what would it be and why?
Uh, I will always remember my favorite line, favorite moment, and your favorite shot of the film is when Andy is describing how it was bad luck and
Mm.
it floats around, and I just didn't expect the storm to last as long as it has. That's one of my favorite lines ever, and that helps keep me going. Like, because we all feel like sometimes in the path of tornado, and you just got to hang in there, and the storm will pass.
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Mark, for sharing your knowledge and wisdom through the movie Shawshank Redemption. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your
Daniel,
business?
thank you very much. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at English Remark H, and then my website is EnglishRemarkH.com.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Mark because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering coaching to come. Mr. Mark, thank you so much for your time.
Daniel, it's been a lot of fun. You're the best, man. I really appreciate this.
More to come, people. See you soon. Likewise, Mr.